how we want to feel, especially because our environment can easily pull us back to old ways. So even though if you decided to make some changes in your life and you have that intention for one day, but the next day you have to remind yourself again. Why? Because the environment we are living in, we are talking and watching TVs or talking to different kind of people. So we need to remind this change again and again. Every day we have to repeat this change, what we want to be, what we want to change in our life, what we want to have in our future. So that's what the Dr. Dispenza mentioned in this book, in this chapter. He gives this interesting example about Parkinson's patients. So we talked about this research before as well. So these patients received a saline injection, which was basically just salt water, but they were told it was a powerful new drug that would help them move better. And guess what? They did start moving better. And their brains actually began producing more dopamine, a chemical that helps with movement and and feeling good, not because of the injection itself, but because they believed in it. But here is the sad part. When those same people, they went back to their homes, to their familiar routines, seeing the same people and sitting in the same rooms, hearing the same conversations, and they slowly returned to how they were before. Their old environment reminded them of their old personalities. So Dr. Dispenza says all of the conditions in their familiar lives reminded them of who they were before. That's how this powerful our surroundings are. So they were getting better during their research study, but as they went back to their old style of living and routine, their disease also came back. So that's why we have to be, repeat the change that we want in our life. And this doesn't just happen with healthy patients, it happens to all of us. He also talks about how people trying to recover from addiction and they might stay clean for a long time, but if they go back to the same place where they used to have drugs, to see the same friends, and they used to get high with them, their bodies and minds automatically react to that. Even they haven't taken any drugs, their bodies start to craving them. Their conscious mind has no control over it because the environment is so familiar, it pulls them back to that old state. That's why Dr. Dispenza says we need repetition. Every day we need to remind ourselves what change we want to be in our life. This connects to something we have all heard about before, Paul's dog's example. Remember that we talked about in previous chapters? It's Paulo rang a bell before feeding his dogs, and after a while, just the sound of the bell made those dogs drool because that's what their brain wired. They had no choice in it. Their bodies had learned to respond automatically to that sound. And similarly, we do the same thing. We are the same. Our environments trigger our old feelings, our old thoughts and behaviors before we even realize it. Another funny story Dr. Dispenza shares is about a group of college students. They were invited to a very real looking bar for a study, and half of them were told they would be getting vodka and the other half would get just tonic. But here is the trick, no one was actually getting vodka, it was all tonic water. Yet many students, they still acted like they are drunk, and some even showing physical sign of being drunk. Why? Because they believed they were drinking alcohol and their bodies reacted as if it were true. As Dr. Dispenza says, their beliefs alone were sufficient to fire up a biochemical change in their bodies. That was equal to being drunk. So there was no alcohol at all. But because of their belief, they thought they're drunk and their body started reacting like that. So that's how beliefs are so important. He also talks about how environments can help us heal too. How our environment is also it matters. There is a study about surgery patients in a hospital. So in that hospital, there was some rooms where they have a very nice view of trees, very beautiful scenery. While there are some other rooms, there was just brick wall. They were just staring at those, brick walls. So the patients who saw trees, they recovered faster. They needed fewer pain medication and they left the hospital sooner. Why? Because a peaceful healing environment made them feel better compared to the other side. Their state of mind changed and so did their bodies. So, our environment is also very important. It makes us feel better. When we look at beautiful scenery, we feel happy. And when we are happy, our body heals faster. So, that's what they did in this study as well. Now, Dr. Dispenza asks us to think about something. Do we really need a sugar pill or fake injection or a pretty view to change how we feel and heal our bodies? Or can we do it ourselves just by changing how we think and how we feel? And he writes, in order to change a belief or perception about yourself and about your life, you have to make a decision with such firm intention that the choice carries an amplitude of energy greater than the hardwired programs in the brain and the emotional addiction in the body. So that's how our intention, our beliefs, our perception affect us. What this means is when we decide to think a new thought or we believe in a new possibility, we need to do it with so much emotion and energy that it's stronger than our old habits. It has to be big enough to take over those automatic responses we have built up over the years. We need to make our emotion, our energy so strong. So that then only we can adopt our new habits or new change that we want to have. And here he says, here is the beautiful part. When we succeed in doing this, we literally rewire our brains and bodies. And he later says the new experience overrides the residue of the old programming. The new signal rewrites the neurological program and genetically changes the body. It means that our past no longer controls us and we start becoming a new version of ourselves. If we have our beliefs are so strong. And he also reminds us that not every illness or problem comes from our minds. Some people born with some health challenges. Accidents happens and there are toxins in the world that can harm us. But he also says no matter what happens, there is always the possibility that we can improve our condition by changing our thoughts and feelings. Even though we have people are born with some health challenges, but there is possibility they can change those health challenges with their positive belief, positive thoughts, and repetition of those beliefs. He talks about creating what he calls a new internal experience every day. This means waking up and choosing to feel joy, gratitude, love, excitement, even if your world around you hasn't changed yet. Every day when you wake up, feel joyful, gratitude, love, excitement. Every day is a new day. Make yourself motivated. The idea here is to feel it so strongly that your body starts to believe it's real. And over time, your brain rewires itself to make those feelings your new normal. So if you repeat for a couple of days or weeks, after that, it will become your habit. Then it will start happening, and automatically. It will become your automatic nature. When we do this every day, the environment stops having as much control over us. Instead of reacting to the same old things in the same old way, we start responding differently. We make new choices, we start trying new things, and as a result, we create new experiences that bring new emotions. And little by little, this turns us into a new person, new change that we want to. As he says, when you change your energy, you change your state of being. And that's the message today I want to leave with you with. Before you wake up tomorrow and face the same routine, I encourage you to take a moment and create a new internal state. Choose what kind of person you want to be that day and think about how you want to feel and hold on to that feeling. Of course, we want to be happy. So start your day with thinking, I am happy and be gratitude. Do it again and again every day, the next day and the next and the next. Because it's the repetition of these small choices that slowly builds a new version of ourselves. So repetition is very important, masters. It will not going to happen in one day. Every day when you wake up in the morning, you have to remind yourself what type of person you want to be. And he shared some examples where people they initially they made some chits and they put in the places like in their bathroom or their next to their bed on those places so they can see what they want to be, what type of person they want to be or what they want in their life, and they start repeating them those words again and again, and later on it became their habit because repetition is really important. One that isn't held back by old environment or old beliefs that will create your new version of ourselves. So, thank you for listening, masters, and I hope you will join me again tomorrow. So, now let's sit comfortably and get into meditation. So, everybody, please sit very comfortably, really, very relaxed. Cross your feet, cross your fingers, close your eyes. If you're wearing glasses, please remove them now and start focusing on your normal, natural, calmer breath. Be with your breath, masters. Be with your breath. Be with your breath, masters. Thoughts will come and go. Please don't analyze them. It's natural. Just focus on your normal, natural, calmer breath. Be with your breath, masters. Be with your breath. Now we'll continue our meditation for 45 minutes. Just focus on your breath. Be with your breath, masters. Be with your breath. Be with your breath, masters. Be with your breath. Last 5 minute masters. Be with your breath. Last 1 minute masters. Be with your breath. Be with your breath, masters. 30 seconds left. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, very slowly and gently, please bring your attention back to your body. Your hands on your closed eye. slowly blink your eyes and look at your palm with big smile and thank yourself for this beautiful time. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone. If you have any question, any comment, or you want to share your experience, please do so. You can simply unmute yourself.
Thank you, Sushma.
Thank you, Raman.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Uh, thank you, Vinishji. All right. So see you all tomorrow. Have a good day, everyone.